Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of Make We Talk. This evening, we're going to speak to Senator Gabriela Morris. She will be on at 8:30. She apologized for her absence at the moment. She will be on at 8:30. So as soon as we get her on, we will hold on for me. I'm having a little bit of problem here with this thing. So here we go. There we are. But this evening, I also have Justice of the Peace, Sir Luke George. We're going to speak about the Speaker of the House keep on saying that the Jamaica Parliament is the highest court of the land. We're also going to speak about young people saying that they do not see, watch, or who to vote for. Senator Morris will be speaking on that. So as soon as she comes on at 8:30, we'll be speaking on that. But in the time being, we're going to speak about what is going on in the Jamaican Parliament. The Parliament of Jamaica is not the highest court of the land. And the Speaker of the House keep on telling the people of this country that the Parliament is the highest court of the land. It is not. So this evening I have with me my good friend, a Justice of the Peace, a Jamaican in his own rights, a man who don't mince word, who speak his mind. Justice Luke George, good afternoon or good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Jeffrey.
Welcome to a special edition of Make We Talk.
Yes, man, I'm happy to be here with you again.
Can you explain to us which court is the highest court of the land in Jamaica? It is not the Parliament of Jamaica. And this evening, or today, I heard the Speaker of the House saying the Parliament is the highest court of the land. It is not. Can you explain to us, sir?
Well, I don't know why the Speaker would refer to the Parliament as the highest court of the land, because the branch of government that we derive just after the independence would comprise of the following. We know that the Governor General, who represents the sovereign, which is the head of state, would be the crown, and then the structure of the government is broken down in three different parts: the legislation, if I'm calling that word properly, the executive, and the legislation would be considered to be the Senate and the House of Representatives. The executive would be the Prime Minister and the Cabinet and the ministries and the Department of Government and statutory bodies. And then you have the judiciary, which would be the Court of Appeal, and the highest court in that regard would be the Supreme Court.
Right.
So if you break government into three, she obviously is making a joke when she considers it. I would want her to probably say something like, it should be the highest house of our value added, which is our attitude, and therefore the people that are elected and representing us would display the morals and ethics that we would want to see filter down to our young people. So I'm not sure when she said that the parliament becomes the highest court of the land, that she means that literally. Um, but
This,
from
but
my
Justice George, this is not the first time I've heard the good lady said it. She keep on
well
repeating by saying the parliament is the highest court of the land.
well again, I would ask the speaker, Miss Dalrymple, to get herself a copy of Civics for Young Jamaican. It is the one book that I remember from my time in primary school and high school that helps us to break out several things in terms of how Jamaica as a society is governed and run. So I'm a little bit surprised it speaks about the citizens and his community or geography and history, the people of Jamaica, the history of the government of Jamaica, our pattern of governance. And it goes on. So again, as I said to you, for everybody who is listening, the structure is broken down in three parts, and I shared that with you. You probably can share it with the other
Yes,
listeners
but
on the program.
I didn't put it on the system here. So
Right.
if you don't mind, maybe you can say, because I don't have it on the system here with me.
Yeah. So it speaks again, Jeffrey, as I just wrote. It's three branches of government that works for the decision making process. It consists of the legislature, which is the Senate and the House of Representatives, the executive, which comprise the Prime Minister, Cabinet, Ministries, Department, and statutory body, and the judiciary, which consists of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, and the other courts would fall under there, the criminal, the civil, and you would have those courts being replicated in all the parishes. So um, again, I'm a little bit surprised when you said she keeps on referring to it as the final court or the Supreme Court, because it is not a court. It's actually where persons are elected to look at how we develop policies and enter bills into the parliament for them to be debated. And there is a process how that is done. That would be on page 63 in your Civics for Young Jamaica. The bill is first read, which is printed. The second part of it is that it is debated. The third part of it, that it goes to committee. A report is generated. The third part would be the reading, and the output would be once that bill is passed, it is sent to the desk of the Governor General to be signed. And once the Governor General signs it enters into how the government is going to basically break out this expenditure for the year that is ahead. And
Yes.
we would have just gone through one of those sitting where the finance minister is now entering a bill of $1 trillion to be spent throughout the ministries, and each ministry will have to submit a report as to what that ministry is going to be undertaking and what the expenditure that goes with that ministry for that money now to be given by central government for how that ministry carries out its function. So I'm a little bit surprised. I really think it's a joke when Miss Dalrymple says that, because if I'm not mistaken, Miss Dalrymple is an attorney at law, and she more than anybody should be familiar with how our structure of government, which we have derived from Britain, how it runs. So similar to the United States, you would have the different branches of government, and each of them function within a particular setting. So you know that in the Congress will table a bill. It is therefore sent to the Senate for them to ratify and to basically approve. It goes back to the Senate. It goes back to Congress, and then the expenditure is allotted to the particular area. So I'm floored when you said it to me, and for you to be repeating it's quite silly and it's misleading. If people walk away with the interpretation that our parliament is actually a court, it's not a court. It's not a court. It's a government body that functions on behalf of the people. The elected representative and the party that forms government have to now work out how the policies and procedure will be funded by each ministry. So you're aware that we have several ministries: the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education.
Right, yes.
Everybody sends their everybody would send their financial expectation for how that ministry will be run, and the Senate would meet and make recommendation. That recommendation is then it goes back. A vote is taken from both opposition and government, and it is when once approved, then the respected ministry is given their acts, and then they start to carry out the function. So I don't know. I don't know why we make these misleading statements, but for anybody listening, please know that the parliament is not the final court. And what does she mean when she says that it's a final court? And why would she want to mislead persons that this body, the executive, the legislator would have the power to make a judgment, which that is reserved for the judiciary? I don't understand that, but again, stranger things have happened in Jamaica.
Yes.
Or maybe she has infused or taken over that branch of government where there are now the courts, so they are writing arguments to say what forms our law and what happens when you table or you go before a judicial system, in whether it's in a criminal matter or a civil matter, how that is decided. The parliament don't make such decision. It is the judiciary that does.
Yes. I am speaking to Luke George. I have my good friend Wilfred Radigan just joining us. We're awaiting the good lady, Senator Gabriela Morris, who is also the People's National Party president of the youth arm. She's gonna come on at about 8:30. So, we're here speaking about Jamaica in the sense of the Parliament of Jamaica, where the Speaker of the House keep on referring to the Parliament as the highest court of the land. Mr. Rattigan, do you have anything to say about that, sir?
Parliament is not a court. Parliament is not a court. Parliament
look at more volume on you.
You can't hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying Parliament is not a court. Parliament is an assembly of government officials, not the judiciary. The judiciary is the court. They have three branches: executive, legislative, and judiciary. And legislative is Parliament. That's where they make laws. And the judiciary is where they interpret those laws, and the executive, they're the ones who send they send proposals over to become law, and they have some other functions. But the idea that Parliament is the highest court in the land, it's not a court. So we don't even get to
keep on referring to it.
Well, somebody should correct her. I mean, they have bright people sitting inside there. I don't know why they don't correct her, because this is absolute rubbish. It's not. By the way, good evening to everybody, especially my brethren, Luke George. Big up yourself, brother. Yes, sorry to be late, but my system, man, they must sabotage it like it got that style. Every program, we just.
We have to send out a St. Thomas to see if we can find a real
St. Thomas, me have the guard things and about the place. Me guard it up and man, them jump over everything.
It look like you need for buy 3 ball of blue, 3 civil orange, and 6 cream soda.
Well, me I work with the green lime. I work with the
Oh,
warm cream
yeah, cut
soda.
off the crosses.
The warm cream soda. And I work with the key and the Bible. And the man and the man them a go around me same way. Same way.
You look like you have enough
You
of
need
Jamaica.
some more key,
And then go
Ratty.
down into the parliament of Jamaica and say, don't have each other's hand. Good evening to, who is this now? Mr. Bennett or Miss Bennett? Hello? Mr. Bennett? Am I seeing this incorrectly?
Write it down, you know. I'm not on the phone.
You're live on air, sir.
Give me a minute.
Okay. Well, with
Yeah.
this evening we have with us our good friend Wilfred Radigan. I see a member of the People's National Party Youth Arm just comes on. Come on. So we're going to speak about, because, you know, young Jamaicans are saying they do not see what or who to vote for. And based on what is going on in our country, Sir Luke George, a lot of Jamaicans are saying the same thing, not only the young people. Because if you have the Speaker of the House telling the people of Jamaica that the Parliament of Jamaica is the highest court of the land, misleading the people of this country. Luke?
Well, again, I don't know. I'm saying that it is a running joke on the speakers. I can only say that because she of all people, again, based on her profession, I hear she's a lawyer by profession and a businesswoman, secondly. But she must know what is the structure of our government system. When it comes to the frustration of young people and the apathy that is growing amongst them, I think the young people of the country is just fed up by this older generation of Jamaicans who seem to go to the parliament, get rich, but do not enforce or create a system by which they see the people have a high level of participation in their own democracy. And it is particularly frustrating. And part of that is because the parliamentarians stay there until they are almost ready to make an exit. And it's almost the same pattern of the one party comes in and they make a lot of promises. They speak to the situations that are adversely affecting the citizen, but you don't see anything transpiring as to an output that means that the people are put in place. So if you look at, for instance, where in Jamaica do you go for when you're looking for a job? You know, in the United States, there are several sites, and even on the government of the United States and other countries like Canada, there are institutions that are created for how you can go in and see what is available, and you can send your resume in there and they will assess it and try to fit you into a position that is available based on the industries that are there. But not so in Jamaica. You have the Ministry of Labour, and for what it is, you have what is called the Labour Exchange. And over the years, they tried to basically source jobs for Jamaica. Not very many young people know about it. And young people go there, and sometimes they go there. Recently, I know that I had sent some young people to participate in that exercise, and most of them were sent to the call center, which is a modern day form of slavery, because the pay is not always the best, but because you have to work whether or not you owe student loan or you have taken on the responsibility of providing for your family. And the truth of the matter is that young people are also turned off because when the PNP is in, there is a section of Jamaica who feels that the JLP are at a disadvantage, vice versa. So there is no consistency that says, although this political party forms the government, that they are working in the best interest. So you notice that it is PNP persons that are appointed to position, and therefore are JLP persons that are appointed, and your political affiliation becomes questionable, and you feel that you are treated badly, or you buy your time for the 5 years, so you don't feel that you are being abused. And it should not be so. You should have clear legislations or clear policies that are going to be in the best interest of the citizens of Jamaica. There's no green Jamaica, there's no orange Jamaica, it's one Jamaica. But how the political party works, there is a clear divide, and therefore people are very frustrated. And I would want to believe that if you want the government to work effectively, you would want to make sure that you have good representation that is going to keep you on your feet and is going to make sure that you fulfill the promises. And again, as I said to you, if you look at the manifesto of both political party in the last 5 elections, you have to ask yourself the truth. Are we putting manifestos together only for a 5-year period, or are we putting manifestos that are going to effect the change that we really need? And so when you look at it, what it is that is attractive to young people, it would be education, health, and the creation the creation of wealth creation, and so you would want to make sure that whatever political party is there, they are going to be doing that. So you look at the population of Jamaica and you said, look at something like education. Are we still at the 75% illiteracy rate? And if you're at 75% of illiteracy rate after 60 odd years, then something is fundamentally wrong. And one of the things that is wrong, you have one microcare center that have been instituted for some years now, and it is in Kingston. So if a young person goes into the basic and primary school, secondary school education system.
Hold on to that point, Justice. Hold on a while for me, please. I have Akeem. Am I pronouncing your name Akeem?
Yes, you have.
Yes, and you're what to the youth arm of the People's National Party again?
I'm a member of the PNPYO. I'm a former vice president, former national organizer. Served quite extensively in the PNP.
Yes. We also have with us Wilfred Radigan. You want to say something, Will?
Yeah, just going back to the idea that the speaker said that the Parliament is the highest court of the land. I'm reading something here, and it says, although the Court of Appeals is the highest court in Jamaica, so the highest court in Jamaica is the Court of Appeal. It says its judgments may themselves be appealed to the King in Council, in which case they are heard by the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council in London. So this nonsense about Parliament being any court at all, it's not even a court of public opinion. So just disregard. Whenever you hear that rubbish, just walk away from it as you would with ordinary garbage. It's the highest court in Jamaica is the Court of Appeal. That's it. Period. Yes. End of story.
Akeem, welcome to Make We Talk. We're waiting on the goodly senator who is also the president of the People's National Party Youth Arm.
She'll be on shortly.
I know. She told me.
Right.
You travel around Jamaica, and at the moment, young Jamaicans are saying they do not see what or who to vote for. Your views on that?
The truth is, a lot of Jamaicans are of the view that there isn't much to vote for, while every day we complain of the issues that need to be fixed within the system. Jamaica suffer from a systematic problem, if you ask me. I think part of the chronic problem that we have is that political parties, and note the words that I'm using, political parties, continue to simply wait until when an election is coming up to craft their manifesto. And so you rely on a few persons to give you such ideas to put in that manifesto. Whether you're in government or opposition, you have a political arm separate from the legislative arm. And by that I mean the opposition MPs function in parliament, but there's a political structure that the party has. Just like how you use that structure to win election, canvas and whatever, that structure is there. And the same for the government. Those structures, I believe, should be used wisely to understand what people are going through in order to formulate policies and to implement those policies to address the issues. Take, for example, I don't believe that Heart Trust is doing what it needs to do. I think how Heart Trust is functioning, I may sound extreme if I say it's a grand waste of time. Here is why I'm saying that. Heart Trust can be seen as a premier skills training institute, not only in Jamaica, but within the Caribbean region. However, how we have utilized Heart has not yielded the benefits. And we know this because the Prime Minister has indicated that at some time ago, that we maybe have to import skills into Jamaica. Now, if you have Heart, what a feasibility, and this does not did not start with this administration. It has been something that is long-standing, which means politically we have not done the work to bring over in government to form the policies and stuff. And I don't think it's hard to do a study to say what are the skill sets that we're lacking in Jamaica. What are the skill sets that are needed, whether to meet the needs of manufacturing, construction, or whatever. It should be so difficult for us to tailor those programs in Heart Trust to meet those needs, 21st century needs, whether it be artificial intelligence, whatever it is. But we're not doing that. We are still focusing primarily on food and beverage and hospitality areas when there's a broad pool of skill set that are lacking. When you think about it, training in the hospitality sector is you'd say you're hoarding them now because you have overtrained, that there's a high influx of people there. You don't want that. You need to shift to meet the challenges that you're facing. And if you're able to meet the challenges that you're facing, you're able to export those talents, because everybody will always want an opportunity to go overseas if it presents itself. But if every year you continue to replenish those talents by graduating and graduating, then you have a shortage needed to meet local or international needs. So there is a lot for us to consider. There is a lot for us to look what we need to fix. The secondary system, in fact, the entire education system needs to be overhauled. The philosophies and opinion of Marcus Garvey, in my opinion, should be entrenched in the school curriculum, starting at the primary level coming up. Economics need to be taught in school. We need to start teaching our children from the earliest level possible how to manage money, why it's important to save, why it's important to have a small investment. Let people because if we practice those things, the conversation about paying down debt and stuff and prioritizing what needs to do, you won't have that. When you look at the bread and butter issues, take for example, today, farmers in St. Thomas are actually protesting. They have onions that there's no market for. How can there not be market for onions when you have so many hotels in Jamaica, when you have markets, when there's an international space? So why are we giving our people a basket to carry water? Why is it that you give them a basket, you give them some water, and then you throw the water, and you cause them to believe it's something that can hold the water, only to see that the water is throwing out? So we're not creating opportunities. And I think when people say there's nothing to vote for, is because they are frustrated. The system has failed them so much that them just say, you know what, I just can't bother. It doesn't make sense for me to be contributing to a system that doesn't seem to be paying dividends to me when I contribute. So I made the investment, but you're not paying the dividends. You have NHT, you're contributing to NHT. And outside of waiting to 7 or 8 years to start drawing down on your contribution refund, you really cannot access a house. Yes, it's all good and dandy to increase the loan ceiling at the National Housing Trust. But the truth is, you don't have the houses at the price that you are putting it. And this thing where we continue to say, you may have a spouse that you need to merge those points with your points with to get a house. What about somebody who is single, who wants to have their own space? You are denying those persons the right to own something in the land of their birth. As I said, there's a lot of things to discuss. There's a lot to vote for, but people don't feel empowered. People don't think that their voices are valuable enough. And I've said a lot, so let me listen now.
All right. Before you come in, Sir George, Wilfred, you want to say something?
Yeah.
You want to ask a question?
Yeah, I want to ask a question. Yes, Mr. Dobson. Good night, sir.
Blessings.
Yes, yes. All right. I looked at the recent polls, and they reflect that the JLP is losing support, and that the PNP is flailing. It's steady, but it's low, right?
Yes.
And there is an argument to be made for voter apathy. People don't really care, and that's why we're here talking about this topic tonight. No, it would seem to be normal that if one party is failing, one party is dropping in the polls, then the other one would go up. But the PNP is not doing that. So the question I have for you is this: as a youth member, because you're sitting around the table now, you're on the inside. What do you see that's wrong with the PNP? And in order for it, that's making it unattractive. And what are your suggestions to improve upon the polls?
All right.
Before you answer that question, can you please, when we're not talking, we mute our mics, please?
Yes, no problem.
Go ahead.
I am not going to say that the PNP is unattractive, and here's why I'm going to say that. When I go around Jamaica, what I'm hearing from people is that we have not demonstrated to them so far that we are ready to take up the mantle of government. No, it's like a girl saying to me that I'm ready to settle down, but you're a playboy. I'm gonna get you ready to settle down yet. So it's not that she wouldn't see me as attractive. She just don't see me as a settle down type. And using that analogy, the people of Jamaica continues to say the PNP needs to get its act together because we are ready for the PNP, but we're not sure the PNP is actually ready for us. And that's what I'm getting. So I wouldn't say we are unattractive. Now to break down the
but part of that to Mr. Dapster is that Rattigan and Jeff is that for a long time the PNP have enjoyed the fact that it was believed, or it is said, that they are the party of the people. So, you know, when you talk to Jamaican, they will tell you that the PNP party is the lesser of the two evil. And they were the party that listened to the people on the manly time coming up to PJ. And then when Portia came, she really embodied the will and the wish of the ordinary Jamaican. But what has happened over time is that the parties have become so pompous and arrogant that they have taken the people for granted, because after you vote for an MP and you elect your councillors as well, they tend to only come around and want to gather information on the issue. And I'm so happy that Mr. Dobson framed it, that the mechanism by which both parties could continue to remain relevant to the needs and the wish of the Jamaican people, it has a structure where you vote for a member of parliament, you vote for a councillor, and you have a caretaker as well. Then it breaks down now into area coordinators, and then you have area leaders. I grew up at a time when the area leaders really would come around and they would ensure that the allotted street that they were allotted, people could speak to them, and that this information was gathered to be fed to the constituency directors, and that your issues were being represented. But I think PNP has just taken this comfort zone that because they are the party that people gravitate to, they don't have to work to earn people's respect and to actually represent. So a lot of time people feel as if there is elections, but there are elected representatives without any representation. Because Mr. Dobson spoke to the issue. Let's go back to one, Rattigan, that I want to stress. If you have a country where 75% of your future is illiterate, or they are not able to function, why would you then have one microcare center? Wouldn't be the issue? Would government see the issue of putting care centers of this nature in all three counties, Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey, so that we are assessing the students' intake and that we're meeting the needs, so we don't put them into a curriculum that is repetitive, but it meets the need of the individual. That way you're investing in your human capital. that they can produce and become productive citizens. So they depend less on the government and more on people's capability. That is one. He speaks to the thing of housing. But before I go there, I should say, then you also have to look at the young person. Again, I said it the other night, who wants to do medicine, and it's $7 million per year. And the person who feels that they come from one of these so-called downtrodden community and they want to do law, which is $4 million a year. Where are they going to get it from? So you have to make it the cost effective for people to feel like they can fulfill their dreams and go on to making their contribution to the advancement of the welfare of the whole human race, including that of their family, to take their family out of poverty. So the system of governance that we have is oppressive in nature, because it is not really catering to the need of the people. The people are only needed every 5 years, and young people now buy that. The last election that Mr. Holness ran, it became attractive because he was using the genres of the day, and the fact that he came in with this clock, anybody see my clock, and people could, that is the only reason. So if you look at even election now, you have to use the modern day song them where I go on for make young people even listen to a jingle where you go do. But outside of that, the majority of young people in Jamaica do not believe that central government cares about them. They do believe that these people are there to bleed the country dry, and the unfortunate. And for the PNP, I would say, Mr. Dobson, people really vote when them say a united party. Everybody in the PNP can believe that. So like how them everybody in a JLP, they just come around Mr. Holness, although Manayard did feel him was the better option for become Prime Minister. Bobby Montague feel when it needs come, them unite and them come together. The PNP needs to come together now and show the people that them.
Yes, that's true. Go ahead, Ratty. Okay. No. Because justice just doesn't have a wealth of things to talk about, you know. No, but what are they?
Let me refine the question. Oh, sorry. I muted the thing. Let me refine the question then. All right. Mm-hmm. Using your words, the country is ready for the PNP, or this is the view, the popular view. The country is ready for the PNP, but the PNP is not ready for the country. In your position, what does the PNP need to do to be ready, that they're not doing right now, to be ready for the country?
All right, just to make it clear, my position is just a member of the party and the YO. All right,
but as a former VP.
But simply put, and Luke George touched on a number of points, and like I said, people don't see us as attractive. People don't see us as attractive. Or no, not that they don't see us as attractive.
Just say a while ago, you take issue with it.
Not that they don't see us as attractive. They don't see us as the settled down type yet. And here is what it is. The party has been hemorrhaging for some time. It didn't just start 2020. The party has been hemorrhaging from 2006 coming down. But I believe that a real effort has just been made to heal those hemorrhaging. That surgical doctors just.
No, hold on a second. I'm not making get away with this.
No, I'm not getting away with it.
No, hold on. You see.
I'm coming to it.
I'm coming to it. You see, this is my place, you know. This is my place. Actually grew up in that yard, yeah. And here we know. The people who live there, when you say the party has been hemorrhaging, them don't know what that means. So that's
all right. The party are bleed. All right, the party are bleed.
But
the party they bleed for
where
some
bleed
time. Because everybody are war, everybody have stabbed somebody or something.
Yeah, no, so that my people can understand.
Yeah, man. So now that it look like we get a skilled surgeon.
We're not sure yet.
No, everything is based on perception. Everything is based on perception. Always remember that. Everything is based on perception.
Come to reality.
All right, let me not say, look, now that we have gotten some surgeons, some experienced surgeons, doing the necessary stitches of the wounds and things, doing the mediation where necessary, we are pulled together. And let me tell you, the other day, the General Secretary spoke and said that part of the strategy going forward is to put forward your best 11. And I think that he would have been listening to the ground to say, in that quote-unquote best 11, Damien Crawford has to be in it. Lisa Hanna has to be in it. Because the PNPYO, while not being in that...
Gabriela Morris.
hold on. The PNPYO, while not being as an organization in that actual level, has a critical role to play. The Patriots has a critical role to play in the women's movement. And those three arms and affiliate has been awfully silent. Because guess what? Mark Golden alone will not bring the PNP over. So you're going to have Paulwell and Mark and Dayton and Lisa and Damien and everybody that the country wants to listen to, and that you can have people in the party, old time, new time, middle time people want to listen to these people. But the YO has to amplify its voice on the issues too. They have to raise concerns about energy issues, the crisis with food. All of these things people want to see them adding their voice to. The very same thing when it comes on to the Patriots. The very same thing when it comes on to the women's movement. We haven't heard the women's movement voice on critical issues in a long time, as for the YO, as for the Patriots. So it has been the party alone. When you have everybody pulling their weight, then Jamaica going to say, yes, PNP ready now. So by the time conference come, if everybody start pulling their weight now, by the time conference come September, it is going to be a political tsunami at the national stadium over national arena. Here is why. You're going to get those who have been PNP who did say them now come out, when come out back. You may start attracting some uncommitted voters. And you have some persons who have indicated that, boy, them are go vote. Let me tell you, you see out of the budget debates, two things came out. Two things, and I spoke to the party chairman the other day, and I said to her, no matter how you want to take it, in politics, marketing, it is how you spin it. The prime minister, when the mic went out and he came on, like he said, nobody was going to break his style, nobody was going to hold him down. That has gone viral. And it is almost natural to hear something from the governing side going viral. For the first time in a very long time, something from the opposition party has gone viral when Angela Brownberger got up and said, shut your mouth. While you're looking on the parliamentary party, you have to look on the political side. Almost every single young people, when I'm scrolling through TikTok, every other post that I'm seeing, somebody saying, oh, shut your mouth, let me talk. I know you were going there. I know you would say that. And that is good for the PNP because somebody from the PNP has gone viral. And guess what? Damien speak today. Everybody has their role to play. Everyone must understand their role. And most important.
Hold on, Mr. Dobson. Hold on a minute. So let me continue there. But the fact of the matter is, Jamaicans are saying there is no ving, vigor, or vitality, according to Papa Eddie. Within the People's National Party, because they're saying that the Lisa Hanna is going that way, and the Damien Crawford is going that way, and the PNP have a vibrant young lady, as Senator Gabriela Morris, and I keep on saying they need to put her out there to get the young people on board.
But wait, I think, and I hope she don't beat me for this. Senator Gabriela Morris, in my opinion, does not need the authority of the People's National Party in her capacity as your president to go out there. She has that autonomy and that responsibility. As the women's movement, when it comes on to the women, and the Patriots, when it comes on to a greater scale of professional. Right? And that is why you have arms and affiliate. Just like you have, even though the National Workers Union should not be so entrenched in active politics, but it has a role to play as the trade union that represents a number of servants of this country, workers in this country. So and I know that the president of the YO has put a plan in place to start getting out there. I know that because we had a long discussion over the weekend, myself, her, and the GenSec of the YO. So when the thing, people must understand them role. The structures must understand them role. And then when you see a YO can start going out there and pulling a certain energy, and you maybe can see the president of the YO do the stir fry, because guess what? If you're going to people, you have to speak the language of the people. You see, just like how Ratijan said, you can't talk about hemorrhaging when you look behind you. You have to talk, make people understand. if you're going to talk about the issue, you can't go talk about fiscal deficit. You have to tell them, say, all right, see the money we have here, and at this we poor. Exactly. So we have to break it down for people to understand what we are saying. Most importantly, listen to people. Don't shut them down. Don't make people feel like they're not a part of you or a part of what you represent. Because once you make them feel that way, they're not going to support you. I tell people all the time, what kept me when I was running for any office internally in the PNP, whether for the executive of the party, NEC or whatever, I didn't have a fight to get any position internally, any internal election. Why? Because people see me as that voice that represents the ordinary voice within the organization
right. Let me ask
and
you
outside of.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm glad you touch upon it. Say you represent the ordinary voice. Talk to the ordinary man. You know, you see that place right there so behind me? You see it? Look, take a look on that.
Yeah, let me see it.
Am I place that you know? 41 Penwood Crescent. That's where I come from. So what I want to ask you is that talk to a man like Pulukak, a man like Gwangi, a man like Dagi, a man like Flatty, a man like Big Wheels, right? A man like Pampas. Talk to them and tell them what is the one issue that you consider the winning issue for the PNP in the next election?
What are the winning issues? One off, right?
Let's just give them one. The one, yeah.
The reforming of the education system, particularly hard trust and TA. And here is how you break it down to them. Because this is how I envision hard working. You see now worse out all fees that were attached, because tuitions were moved from Hart from 2014. Now that you have moved the administrative fees, I think Hart need to set up transition program. So you have Ebony Park. Somebody who wants to do agronomy or whatever, start at Ebony Park, getting the associate free of cost, they say. And then you let them transition over to Case to finish the other 2 years in their degree program. What you get, half of the journey, they not have to worry them head out that I will pay for, because the state would have absorbed that and that would have empowered them better. You show them, you say, all right, where the world are going? Artificial intelligence. What are some of the things that we need to develop? Maybe we need to start developing a pharmaceutical industry. You break it down. Instead of we take all of the pills from India and Bangladesh, we start producing our own medication here. When you have Hard College of Construction in Portmore, and you literally have big people have to show them, say, here, if you get a chance to go for now, instead of taking a farm work yard, because trust me, farm work is an easy thing, they're fresh, But if you have a skill and you get a chance to go to Canada as a painter, as a child, you can go earn up to $25 per hour. And that's in a regular 8-hour day. And if you work overtime, you get time and a half. This is what a transforming heart trust will present to you. Not only that, this transforming heart trust will empower you if you can get any job in Jamaica in the skill sector and beyond the skill sector. And when you do that, you start raising the economic bandwidth in Jamaica now. And what do I mean by that? You have a more progressive economy. You have a more developing economy. You have a more productive economy because people have the academic qualifications and the know-how to meet the needs of the economy. So people can pay higher wages. You're no longer this false idea of a middle income country, but you actually meet the standard, the real standard, the practical standard of a middle income country, where them can access benefits through NHT practically, where them can say, all right, now, minimum wage, we don't have to worry about what minimum wage, or if you can buy the tin mackerel, if you can buy the chicken back. And then you cause people start moving away from tin mackerel and chicken back per se to a healthier diet. So instead of people that eat just to fill them belly, people can maybe now start eat a more balanced and healthier meal. And that's it means, because if you want to become healthy, you better start with education. But how you say that to people, you have to make them understand that this will also lead to solving your ordinary bread and butter issues. Because if you
hold on a minute there for me before I get Luke George to come in. People are saying, I'm pretty much sure people are saying that the People's National Party was in power for 18 years. Yes, that's a long time ago. But what have they done within that time to now? Well, we couldn't say, okay, they did all of that. So, this party come and mash it up.
All right.
All right, so, hold on. But Jeffrey,
Yeah.
in all fairness, yeah, the People's National Party was in power for 18 years, and I believe that all guard was out of touch with the reality and wanted to remain out of touch for their own gains. Because don't fool yourself, you know. Everybody we are going to politics now, you know, have an ulterior motive. It's not Jamaica above my greed. It's making sure that by the time I leave me, I'm a family secure. So that mentality is what me that want again. What?
No, I said Akim, if I true with that.
And
No.
I'm going to give you a simple answer. Everybody that goes into politics as an ulterior motive.
You talk
right.
And
that is what
I mean, I support you. You go support you, but you all have ulterior motive too.
Huh?
Mr. Me that go support you, but no, you have ulterior
No,
motive.
no, but my
No.
ulterior
But
motive is
hold
different
on,
from yours.
Ratchet.
My
Ratchet, don't do that to the youth. Don't do that to the youth. Don't do that to the
Are
youth.
you Satan and agree with
No.
you?
Yes, and I'm sticking
Hold
by
on.
it. I have an ulterior motive for being in politics. And maybe that's why I haven't reached further in politics, because my ulterior motive is always to challenge the system that is there, that is not causing our country to produce the way how it needs to produce. I want a system that is there to ensure, say, no matter which party come in power, you can't just willingly change things as you feel. There are some things that should be so done in such a fundamental way that even when government change, it can't change. I think it is something in regard to environment in Chile. No matter which party come in power in Chile, them can't shift it. Them can't change it to please for them political agenda.
So Jeffrey, what we need for though? You see this new brand of young people that are coming in, they are having a conversation now, Ratty, that is quite mind-blowing, and they want to revolutionize it. But we have to get rid of the players from the onset who we know that they are going to go there. Because some people like to talk about politicians are underpaid. Please, all of the excess fluff politicians have eaten from that. All of the excesses fluff. And the fact of the matter, that is why I am of the opinion that parliamentarians must have term limit. You know, if you sit down there for 47, 57 years, you know, if you are going to the parliament with no walking stick and your head back. So, again, you know, you smile it right, you know. He who plays by the rule will get sharp. So you have to get some youth now a fortitude of testicular where no say, look here, a country above grade. Because you see, if the country where we not understand, it's like politicians are short-sighted, or them put on a blinder. If the country are work them good. Because if you can raise GDP that you don't have to pay back 75% to the people where you owe, and you basically can't earn enough, everybody can get a good pay. And as my brethren, well, me not know him very well, but as my brethren just as well as saying in Jamaica, because tomorrow I go here say me a big PNP. If my brethren say we can move from the middle income to a flourishing society where everybody is being paid a fair wage, and we not pay housing trust benefit where we know we not benefit from, we not pay education tax where we know we're not going to get anything from it, but we can utilize these taxes by improving ourselves so that we move the country to where it needs to go, to the Millennium Development Goal, where people are basically what you call it, self-actualizing based on their capability, then that would be good. But the fact of the matter is that we need to start, you and Jeffrey, myself, need to start saying to these young people, stop sounding so apolitical, but sound in general that you care about the people. Because again, one of the Portia Sims appeal, you know, that Gabriel Morris and Lisa Hannan would need to take on is that when they talk about, I hate when Miss Sims talk about, I come from the bowel of the poor. I think we should have detect that out from 1962. That we come from, I think we need to take that out of the whole thing about me come from the bowels of the poor. I don't know about that. Because the poor is always going to be with us, and the alarming poverty that our people are facing is an insult to us that you have all been there for the last 60 odd years. But while it is changing upwardly for the 1%, the people at the bottom are getting shafted. So It's like the song said, rich man live in a autocrat, but the people them live in a squabble. So me no want the speech. What me want is the servant leadership who are going to come and make that difference. And this is where Mr. Dobson now, fee message would have to start from the people that him influence, him bridging them, where him a recruit for the politics, like when them dep on campus and them come and them promise you say your pocket a go full, say you create a little beast now like a Andre Stevenson, who when him never get where him want, him come out and say, foul the whole of them wicked. But you were there crafting policies still to oppress the people. We need the people who talk the talk and walk the walk and will suffer. For that decision. I don't necessarily, if I wanted to run as a politician, I want to be there for 100 years. If all I'm doing is pontificating to poverty and talking about how I love the poor. How you love the poor and have KPH in that condition and Cornwall Regional Hospital in that condition and the health center in that condition. Why are you giving the poor drugs? Why are you giving the poor drugs that them don't have food in their house and food?
I'm going to challenge you on something.
Hold a while for me.
Given this,
hold a while for me.
Okay.
We have the lovely lady of the moment in our midst. Senator, the Honorable Gabriela Morris is online. She's also the president of the People's National Party, YO. Welcome to Make We Talk, Senator. She's not ready for us as yet. Oh. Well, as soon as she's ready, she'll come on. Look, George, I see a lot of people saying some stuff inside here that I think you need to run for the labor rights, you know, because them not get us wiped. Jeffrey, shut them out.
Jeffrey, honestly, Jeffrey, let me tell you something. Under the Andrew Holness government, there is no way I could have been a member of the JLP. If they think that they're attractive by coming and looking like a little SSR Fuhrer, the last time they got wiped out, it was because many of us said that the labor rights are arrogant. The PNP is adopting that level of arrogance. They are not there to serve the people. In other words, they are Dives and we are Lazarus, and so we need to come to their table. How can you have a prime minister that have a member of his team who said, whole benefit from the people of Jamaica until we see how them vote for it? Mr. Warmington would have to go. There is no way I'm sitting in the parliament without Mr. Warmington. That demand a figure. What we saw in the parliament the other day with Ms. Dalrymple as the speaker and Angela having to say to whoever, I don't even know who she was saying it to, shut your mouth, because I know you would go there.
She was speaking to that.
Exactly. The man will call Lisa and a slut. Him know everything about everybody, but him not talk about film skeleton them in a film closet. No, if that is what is attractive to Jamaica, that bad man and bullyism to young, and you think that is appealing to young people. Yes, it's appealing to those who want donship and want to maintain a level of power, but not to a country that is so fickle that anytime now any issue can break it. Because you see, Ratty said to Mr. Dobson earlier, what is one issue? And him choose education. No matter what issue you're choosing, if you can't get the issue of crime and corruption down, and you can't get the bad players out of parliament, it no matter what you're introducing at Jamaica, it's not going to work, because fundamentally, lots and lots of Jamaicans see our political leader as corrupt and have no credibility. And if I was sitting in the Jamaican parliament, I would resign on the basis that the people of my country don't have faith in my leadership. And then you put forward people like Ms. Dalrymple, who goes into parliament and is misleading people by the utterance that the parliament is the highest court in the land. It may speak to, as the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. That full dictatorship is coming. We are going to remove all your rights, and we are going to now hold your feet to the fire. So many of us like you, Jeffrey and Rattigan, we are going to be bound and cast in fire. And I just know that my fear tells me that there's going to be a fourth person, because I believe there's a righteous wind blowing to our back. I believe that young people are going to give these two political parties a devastating blow if we continue on the same trend. So if you're going to say Gabriela forgot there, people have to connect with our truth. Right? When we look at like Crystal come up overnight and all of a sudden you're challenging the leader. The same people them will help mentor you. You come and that the people them want. We don't want no more divide and rule. What we need is that you speak your truth to power to say we need a transformational change and we need a transformational leader. Now people say, boy, Mark Golding in a parliamentary thing. Several things Mark Golding said that needs to be looked at, So you can't brush it aside. We still all know on the fact that if you say gold money never thief, you know to address the fact that bank are charged with for large money and withdraw it. That is wrong. Your friend Leachin should not have the right to be sitting on a central body that is deciding the economical fate of this country, but is charging the people who already a profit from the investment at the bank. Why are we paying excess money to lodge the money in there and to withdraw our money? That is fundamentally wrong. So you need to come to Jamaica and say to the Jamaican themselves, oh, we are going to do the SLL. We need to see somebody go to jail. And we need a prime minister that is going to be on the side of the people and give the people the accountability that them answer. Be it as it may, the PNP them did know that the report was tabled from way back when, and that there was an alarm raised to say some malpractice are going in another place there, And it goes back to Cash Plus. That ignore the fact that when Cash Plus came and was going to give the people them, poor people them a little relief, for university students go borrow some money, then put it in a Cash Plus and then use the dividends to pay off them school fee. All of a sudden, say, Mr. Hill thief are the first me see in Jamaica, Jeffrey. Put out a man criminal record. Where him not commit no crime in here, in a foreign now, go for the man criminal record and put it out there. But not tell we how much ganja, how much hard drugs gonna sell, how much gun gonna bring in other country, Because when them they catch up on the shot, we kill the police in the police academy, when them realize the live rounds were coming in, with the so-called what you call them, Ratigan?
Gun salute.
What you call where the live rounds were coming in, and that was how people that make the money. So let me tell you again, until the people at Jamaica see that we are putting an end, Mr. Dobson know this, to the divorcing of our political party from gangs, bringing those leadership into the decision-making process, because them have a role to play. All Jamaicans have a role to play. The mash down of corruption, how can the accountant general put out the 2010-2015 report and say $30 billion is accounted for, but nobody got to jail for that? Yes. Until we see a government that is going to go after the perpetrators that is stealing from our purse, you are not going to restore confidence in Jamaicans like me, who is independent in how I think, that it is time that we can vote for your party because you actually speak our language. Yes, we need leaders who are accountable to the people.
Remember, we have the senator on, so we're gonna see if we can get the senator to come on now and welcome her to our program here. Senator, good evening to you, ma'am. Good night.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you?
Are you hearing me?
You're very low.
I am doing well. I hope my connection is not too bad.
It is.
Still driving, but I'm trying to connect.
Never charge your senator. Never charge.
No, I'm not the one doing the driving. I'm the
all right. I just want to make that clear. We lead by example.
Senator, welcome back. Welcome to the program. Welcome back to the program. The topic on the program this evening. By the way, we have Wilfred Radigan, Luke George, and of course, Hakeem Dobson.
Distinguished panel. Good evening.
Yes, Senator, the young people of our country saying that They're tired, they're fed up, they don't know who to vote for or what to vote for. But I have to play something. Before you say anything, I have to play something to make the audience hear. Then you can come in and comment.
This is a very important point, and I want all the young people within the hearing of my voice to listen and listen well. Many of our young people are saying that they will not vote. And I'm here to tell you, young people, that your vote is your voice. Don't give away your power. There are so many before us who fought for this freedom. And the future is ours to take. We have to stand up as young people in this country and say, time come for us to can live good in our own country. Time come for us to be able to own a home. Time come for us to be able to own a business. Time come, comrades, for us as young professionals, young people, to be able to feel a sense of dignity. The People's National Party is ready to make sure that young people in this country see real change. We are ready to not just give you hype and claps and all kind of foolishness. We are ready to meet with you. We are ready to walk with you. We are ready to work with you so that you can see a Jamaica where you feel good to live, raise your families, work, and the business. We're not stopping because we know that time is here. Young people, we're fed up and we want better in this country. Time come. We're giving you a warning, Prime Minister. We're ready and we're not back down. PNP strong. We're ready. Time come.
When you listen to that speech,
Time come.
you know,
You hear the passion in the time
listen to
when
me.
the senator speak.
Listen, Senator, do you know how many Jamaicans, how many young people listen to your speech and have hope for this country?
Boy, Jeffrey, that was my hope. And I tell you the truth, I don't come from the political elite, as I put it. I come from ordinary circumstance. I'm a young person. I went to university. My parents are civil servants. I went because they saw education as important. But I had the same struggles that young people are constantly facing in this country. And when I gave that speech, it was actually my first time speaking on such a large political platform. And all that was coming back to me is the challenges that I hear young people echo every day about how they feel about living in Jamaica. And I heard Luke George commenting earlier about some of the real institutional, structural, social changes that need to be made in this country to ensure that young people can actually live good. And I don't think that successive governments have focused too much on really making these changes that will allow young people to live good. One of the excuses that we get time and time again is that, oh, young people don't vote. And so there's not much emphasis on the issues that affect young people. But yet, when election time comes around, we try to sway young people with the Dobbs and, the Clarks. And I think the electorate is changing. The youth electorate is changing. There's so many more young people now more than ever who are saying, no, we need to see these things. As he said, corruption. That's one of the big ticket items that young people are looking to both political parties to challenge in a very real way. And I say for the PNP, and I've said this to the leader, Akeem knows where we're coming from with this, that we have to get down to the meat of the matter. It cannot be business as usual. And it cannot be the same ignoring of youth issues and thinking that young people will jump on the bandwagon this time around. One of the things that I've been doing as YO president is engaging young people at every level. That's not a normal thing, because sometimes when we're going to the high schools and we're talking to them, we're explaining to them, reasoning with them, they're like, nobody never really do this before. We see politicians come, yes, but we not get a chance to actually engage them. And so even that is a small change that we have to make as we engage young people. Talking to them, not talking down to them, but actually engaging them on real issues. They're not stupid. They're not dumb. And they want to hear from their political leaders on real ideas. So that's one of the things that I really, really take seriously. And I hope that even through the work of the YO, through my work as a senator, that this time around more young people will be engaged in the process. But it stems from a bigger issue of governance that we have to tackle if we want to see young people becoming more engaged.
You guys are there? Jeffrey?
I think Jeffrey's frozen.
On to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, you all right? Jeffrey asleep, man. That was the crocus, man. Not me calling man. Jeffrey asleep.
No, it looked like him camera freeze or something.
No freeze, man. I'm asleep. Frozen. Me, I tell you, say Jeffrey asleep. I know the first me see him do this. He must sleep. What are they? What are they? You see him jump up when we call him, watch out.
No, so he's like the minister today that was sleeping in parliament.
Him gone. Jeffrey there.
Him gone. That's what I say look like a day.
All right. Let me ask a question now. All right, my brother. All right, cool. Yeah, Jeffrey, I drop asleep. I'm saying for run the program. So no, I joke now, man. No, I'm attentive. All right, Senator. Time come. But time doesn't come in a vacuum. Time come with circumstances. Time come with events. And Luke George said a lot a while ago, and he made some significant points. But for me, as a law enforcement professional, the thing he said that appealed to me the most was that you cannot talk about a change in Jamaica without talking about a change in the crime situation, because that affects everything. It affects if you say, well, we want good education, but you have people who are less than honest. If you have criminals, so to speak, in the parliament, then it's the idea that you're going to get good governance, good education, good health, good health structure, good roads, good whatever. It won't happen. It will just be words on a piece of paper. But if you can get rid of the criminals in parliament, then and then deal with the corruption at that level, at the highest levels. And I mean, we had a chance to do it the other day, and the corruption prosecutor failed in her mandate to do it. But that's another story. The question I have to ask for you is this: what is the YO's position on addressing the crime situation in Jamaica?
Well, I fully agree with you that there are remnants of our political history that are still alive and well in our parliament. And one of the things that youth in this country struggle with is trust. It makes it hard for us to trust in our leaders when we see that there are still several ministers who have been tainted by corruption and they're still sitting pretty. And so for many young people, they want to see a no-nonsense approach to the issue of corruption. For me, as president of the YO, that means ensuring that the systems that are there to weed out corruption, to identify, to prosecute, actually work and work independently of Parliament, because we saw in the SSL case how the long hand of the government stretched into that whole debacle. And many people were not satisfied with the outcome or how it was dealt with. So one of the things that we have to look critically at is the role of the Integrity Commission. And there's been a lot of dialogue, there's been a lot of debate on it. But I strongly feel that we have to take that no-nonsense approach. If you have an instance of corruption, you should go. You should go. And the Bible talks about forgiveness, but it doesn't work the same way in the House of Parliament because the trust is lost. And then people will look on and say, all right, how comes we accommodate this? But when a man out of road do this, we write him off as a criminal. He can't get work, he can't enter into certain spaces, but it's a different standard for somebody who should be held to a higher account. So that in itself is problematic. And I know that Mark Gordon has spoken at length about how he plans to deal with instances of corruption. I know also that the Prime Minister has made comments about how he plans to deal with it, but we haven't seen the actions following suit. He speaks strongly on corruption, but Floyd Green is back. JC Hutchinson is there. Wheatley's there, and we can name them out because these are public records, and people have seen the cases and how they have been dealt with. So I think that the PNPYO will stand where the party also stands in taking a no-nonsense approach. Maybe we feel like it's a little bit stronger, and I surely do. I feel as if, once you have a strike, you should go. You should go. The People's Parliament should be a place where people who have sterling records are allowed to serve. If you put yourself in a position to take that, then you should face the repercussions of your actions, which means that you're not entrusted to serve the people again. And that's my firm point of view. I think that until we can get to that place of being serious about corruption, then people won't take the government seriously. They won't take governance seriously. They won't take politics seriously. So we have to seek to weed out those persons and try to create a parliament that is upstanding. And that's just my firm and just
all right. Well, Senator, I'm going to read you something, right? I'm going to read you something from the Integrity Commission Act of 2017. And it's section 34, subsection 4. And it says, without prejudice to the provisions of subsection 1A. And 1A talks about the role of the DPP, that the DPP is the ultimate prosecutor in Jamaica. So everything else that I'm reading to you is subject to that. And it says the director, without prejudice to the provisions of subsection 1A, and 1A talks about the Constitution. It says the director of corruption prosecution may, acting on his own volition or upon the request of the commission, request an opinion from the director of public prosecutions as to whether or not to initiate criminal proceedings in respect of any matter that has been referred to him under this act or any other enactment or an appoint of law. Now, if the PNP wanted to do something about this, because I see where, everybody's talking about, and I even saw some hearings about reforming the integrity or amending the Integrity Commission Act. I think it's last week. Why hasn't the PNP then seen it fit to say to the commission that you have the mandate under the Integrity Commission Act to ask the DPP for a final review? Or why hasn't the PNP asked the corruption prosecution, the director of public prosecution, to reevaluate her opinion and seek an opinion from the DPP? Because the DPP is the final arbiter of all of this. When you go back, when you read this Integrity Commission Act of 2017 in conjunction with the responsibility and the role and the standing of the DPP in the Constitution. Why hasn't anyone gone, and why hasn't the PNP pursued this any further?
Well, I don't know if I can give a full answer to that. I really don't know. But I do know that there is need for reform, and that has been identified. Not reform in the sense of limiting the powers of the Integrity Commission, as some would have suggested in the media a couple of days ago, but in terms of strengthening their capability to independently pursue and investigate, right? And I think that's the direction that the PNP has signaled that we would want to go. To the question of why, I can't answer that one, honestly, but I understand that we have intentions of strengthening the powers, and that's the direction I think that we should definitely pursue.
All right. Senator, I have another question for you here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Prescription Act of 1882 or the Beach Control Act of 1956. But essentially, the Beach Control Act of 1956 says that the people of Jamaica, they don't have rights of general access to beaches.
Hold on for me, Mr. Rattigan. Hold on a minute. Senator, I'm going to mute your mic and then record and answer the question and you answered. Go ahead, Ratty.
Right. The young people, old people, middle-aged people, everybody likes the beach. Everybody, I mean, I can't think of another social event that's more natural than just going to beaches in Jamaica. And here it is that we have something called the Beach Control Act of 1956 that limits access of Jamaicans to beaches. I'd like to know, what is the government or what does the opposition plan to do about expanding the right? Because what we have now, we have prescriptive rights, which is under the Act of 1882, which says that if you've been using a beach for more than 20 years, then there is a general easement, a general right to use it, even though you may have private ownership of the land. And this goes to land rights, land use, land ownership. But I'm not sure if you're familiar with this issue, but this is an issue that I think that you could garner a lot of votes with. PNP, JLP, UIC, everybody. The idea that Jamaicans don't have general access rights to one of the most natural resources that we have. I think they said that we have, 400 and some odd miles of coastline, and of it, I think usable is like 100 and something. And Jamaicans only have general access to, I think it's like 20 miles of beach.
Yes.
So the question I have to ask you is this, and if you're not familiar with the issue, that's fine. But if you're familiar with it, why hasn't the PNP raised this issue? Because under the Beach Control Act, all it takes to override the prohibitions in this act is the stroke of a pen from the minister responsible for beaches, and by extension, that is the Prime Minister, because that goes under NEPA. NEPA is in the office of the Prime Minister, so the Prime Minister would be the minister that they're talking about, keeping in mind that this act came into effect before Jamaica gained independence. So why if there's an issue that the PNP should raise and would put the government in a box or in a bind, it's this, because guess what? I don't think they're in a position to go tell Sandals and beaches and all them, take down your fence, and Jamaica Jamaicans will have a general access to your beach. So if you really want to stick it to them, why doesn't the PNP raise this issue?
Well, I can't say that we have raised this issue. I mean, around the time when we had the debacle with the Bob Marley Beach, I remember the leader raising the issue of beach access. I believe, and I stand corrected, that it was also included in our manifesto, our 2020 manifesto, the issue of beach access. And you're right. This is an issue that many Jamaicans have spoken out about. In the Caribbean alone, we see where most countries persons have access to all beaches. It's a strange situation in Jamaica where you said what? Only 22 public beaches are open to the public. So So I mean, it is an issue that we've spoken out about. Maybe we can put a little bit more fire underneath it. But I know that we have commented on it in the public space and have indicated that there are changes to.
Senator?
Gone.
If I may drop in on the beach issue, maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway.
Go ahead.
Up to the government
Put on
to
your
listen.
camera.
And if they don't listen, then we'll.
Sorry, Senator.
You finish making your point, Gabby?
Am I still on?
Yes, you're on. Go ahead.
You finished making a point?
Right.
Okay.
No, I was just saying that if the government doesn't choose to act on it, then we have already indicated how we wish to proceed with the matter. And so it will be up to us to make those changes.
All right. If I may add my voice to the beach thing. Gabby, don't beat me afterward, please. You see, the issue of access to beaches, it is a reform that the PNP should have taken on a long time ago. Either 2013 or 2014.
Here. Repeat it again.
I was at Jamaica College at the party's private session. The same year when Zick V came about, or Chick V, the first one, Chick V. And I raised the issue at the private session of party conference to say we don't have access to beaches. The issue of not having access to beaches is not a new one enough. It is not a new one. And I don't have a problem with us upgrading the beaches. But I don't think you need to take more, and you're not supposed to take nothing at all because people pay property taxes, where the municipal authorities can ensure that somebody is there to ensure that bathroom facilities are cleaned. Because that's all you really need there. Somewhere for people to wash off, somewhere for people to pass waste. That's all you really need on the beach, you know. And you maybe have a lifeguard or so. So the issue of the beach and the beach act and all of those things, it is something that should have dealt with. And this is going to ruffle feathers. The two sides of them donors will benefit from privatization of beach, and that's why the issue has not been dealt with the way it ought to be dealt with.
Okay.
You know that in Barbados, they try to privatize beaches in Barbados. And them protest from the government here, that is why people have access to beaches in Barbados. I don't have a problem for us to get investors to come, build hotels and whatever. But if it is at the peril of people having access to beaches, then it not goes so. In my parish, Silverson Beach was named Jacob Taylor Beach. Them go down there and them privatize it. Silverson Beach was one of the free beach them people have. I'm not sure the status of Burwood Beach. And like me say, the only thing you really need, because you want people to have facility where they drop in them waste in the sun or in where the mangrove area is. You set up the facility and let the municipal authority run it. It not take nothing to do.
Before Senator answer that question or make a comment on that, let me read something that was sent to me. I think Mr. Rattigan may have it too. The Wholeness Administration, the Minister without Portfolio, Darrell Vaz, and the UDC have been sanctioned by the Office of the Contractor General for their role in selling beach properties to a well-known company. I was advised by my attorney not to call the company name. The Moon, you know, some not call name. I got call name. The Moon Pleasant Beach Jamaica Grand Hotel. The government valuated the property. Well, I'm the senator gone. The government valuated the property for $13.5 million. The property was sold to the company for $7.2 million in the name of development. In the name of development.
I think it was a property that was adjoining to Moon Palace. I think it was rooms or so. If it's the same, if it's the same property, right? So that one, I think that one was prior to 2020 general election, and because of the concerns that were raised, I think the minister said that we lost billions in development that would have taken place there. I'm going to go back to the point that I made in it. One thing, and I try to be as balanced as possible. The issue of the privatization of beaches runs across party lines. And we
at least, hold on there, Mr. Dobson. At least tonight, I have a person from the People's National Party who don't be afraid to call a spade a spade. You hear what the man said, Mr. Rattigan? Both sides of the fence. No better barrel, no better herring. Go ahead, sir.
No, I would say no better barrel, but there are things that we need to speak the truth. You must speak truth to power, and if you're talking about something, you have to call it for what it is if you really want to fix the issue. And you can't just point to one side and act like you're innocent. No, as I'm saying, we have to now reform how we deal with access to beaches in a comprehensive manner to ensure that Jamaicans are not disenfranchised from accessing beach. You have an old man just say, boy, my foot a pain me knee. And she go beach and she wash off. Or somebody said them salt and them want to go beach and river. And let me tell you what is going to happen. When all the beaches have been colonized, our rivers are going to be next.
They started already.
And we see where the Roaring River property, I think, was handed over to the Chinese. And I'm a lover of China.
Hold on. Rolling River in Westmoreland was given to the who?
No, man, not Roaring River in Westmoreland.
Oh.
Roaring River in St. Anne.
St. Anne, yeah.
Area there.
Yeah.
And remember, a lot of people don't know what is happening on the global scale in terms of water. India and Pakistan has been warring over water for the past 10 years or more. Jamaica has several watersheds that need to be protected. You can't put those in private hands. Because if you put those in private hands, they're going to have dominion over those watershed areas. And they can then do what they want, whether to send it back to their home country or whatever, if we don't protect those assets. And a lot of people have been projecting that with the advent of climate change and everything, water wars are going to become something that has become normal. And we have to deal with those things. So if we don't get beaches right now when we can, even though we almost have no right to them anymore. And let me tell you, when you look and you see private companies in Jamaica, so them develop a beach and charging people over $1,000 to come on the beach. What sense does that make? That doesn't make any sense.
Akeem, let me just throw something out to you. About a week and a half ago, the Prime Minister in his budget speech, he said that all Jamaicans must have access to our beautiful beaches. This is without question. Now, you don't make a statement like that unless all Jamaicans don't have access to the beaches, right? So he come out and him said that. Now, let me give you a list of the beaches now under threat. Under threat, right? Some of them, when I say under threat, some of them already close to the public.
Yeah.
All right. Mommy Bay Beach in St. Anne, Little Duck River Beach, Blue Lagoon, Peach Beach in Discovery Bay, Reggae Beach in St. Mary, Members Beach in Discovery Bay, the beach out of Roxborough in St. Anne, UDC Beach, Long Bay Beach in Portland, Bob Marley Beach, Bluefields Beach, Little Bay Beach, Alligator Pond, Old Pera, Burwood Beach. Most of these beaches,
and I mentioned Burwood.
Yeah, most of these, what happened is that the beach is basically landlocked, meaning that the surrounding lands are private. And so they're saying that we're not gonna let people just, track through our land to get to the beach.
But before you continue, Ratijan, me talking to you, to the people in your background, right, where you come from, there, so, a bullshit that. I'm not tell you why. There's something that is called adverse possession. It is only used on the poor in this country to gain access to what they want, but you don't use it for rich people.
Well,
You have to use adverse possession to say, here, we boss man, we're going to take this portion of your land because beach enough for you. See the land where you own it, you don't own the beach, you can't own the water, you can't own the sun or whatever. You can't own the section of the property. I'm fine if you want whatever, but people must have access to the beach.
well, here's the thing. You just touched on a point, which is the Prescription Act. The Prescription Act of 1882 speaks to that specifically. It says it says when any profit or benefit or any way of easement or any water course or the use of any water, if you've been using it, I said without interruption, if you've been using it without interruption for the full period of 20 years, the right thereto shall, subject to the provisions hereinafter contained, be deemed absolute and indefeasible, meaning that you cannot pass a law overriding this one. So that's what there's a group called Jabem right now, and we need to support Jabem. That's what they're doing, and that's how they got Winifred Beach. Winifred Beach is safe because of this Prescription Act. So
I think Kabu from IRFM would be, maybe even if she's not formally a part of that group, I know she was in the struggle for something the same beach in Portland that you just mentioned. And the police tried to intimidate her and few persons that were protesting at Blue Lagoon in Portland the other day. And let me tell you this. You know, one of the worst things about some of these people where you say automatically or all of a sudden just take up these beaches and become mass owners, and you wonder where they were. All of these times they were not there. And that's why I said government have a responsibility to now protect these assets to ensure that people have them. How many must have paid $1,000 for Gar Beach? That makes sense?
No, hold on, Jeffrey. Let me just say one thing to Hakeem. Hakeem, I can give you one better than that. Puerto Rico Beach.
No, me did want to call him here, but me did just say, you know what?
I'm not afraid, man. Puerto Rico Beach was handed over to Kenny Benjamin on a long-term lease. And it was developed to the tune of millions of US dollars. And what did Kenny Benjamin do? Kenny Benjamin privatized it so much so that Jamaicans can only go on certain days.
And guess what? You know the sad thing about that lease agreement that took place. Gabby cuss me, no, but me take the cussing if you go cuss me. Who was tourism minister at the time?
Tio. Kenny Benjamin brother-in-law.
You say it, not me.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
You mean the Honorable Dr. Wickham McNeil?
That is his brother-in-law. That's his brother-in-law.
I didn't call anybody name, you know.
Well, me can't call name.
No, that's a fact. He was the minister of tourism.
And the truth is, listen, like me saying, if we're going to correct the problem, we have to identify the root of the problem. Because if you can't name the problem for what it is, you can't then look to say you want to correct the issue. If you're serious about correcting it. And
but hold on there. I know Senator's having a signal problem. And I want to ask her this question before she get cut off. Well, suggest something to her. Senator, are you aware of the National Agency bandooling poor people and in this country, Senator? There's a lady that I know right now who are trying to thief her land. And so many Jamaicans in this country are losing their lands from the National Agency. Are you aware of it, Senator?
Well, I'm not aware of that specific case. So if you can send me the information, I'll go and look it up afterwards also. What's the situation there?
Are you aware of any other cases?
Of persons losing their land? Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Of course. We have a significant challenge with the issue of land, you know. And Akeem said earlier, I jumped back in when he was on that point, and he said I mustn't beat him, but I can't beat him for that. Because one of the things that comes up often in the discourse, and we're talking about youth and how they feel about politics, is identifying that there have been wrongs in the past by both administrations. The issue is, what do we do here and now? What do we do here and now with that? And I just find that in 2023, we shouldn't be arguing about the issue of land so much. We should understand that people need access to land and provide access. It shouldn't be so many persons in Jamaica still struggling to get titles, still having feuds over land. So
But
I am surprised, and I think that the blame has to be laid squarely at the feet of leaders, at the feet of the leaders.
but
We
Senator,
haven't taken a hands-on approach with land at all.
but Senator, they are building roads in this country, and they are giving away prime property to a communist government because Chinese check engineer is owned by the Chinese government, and the government of Jamaica is giving away 34 acres of land to China Engineering Company, and nobody knows about it. Senator. I tell you something, I say it right and I say it again.
But Jeffrey,
But
Jeffrey,
Yes.
look at Bernard Lodge. Look at Bernard Lodge. Look at what is happening there. And Akeem said it earlier, and I can't disagree that capitalist interests, they don't often align with the changes that need to be made to include people. And that is what we saw play out with the Bernard Lodge incident, with the incident in Clifton, where the government just simply had other plans for the land and they put that before the needs of the people and their right to have housing. We're not condoning and saying anybody should just go anywhere and set up housing, but it shows where the priorities lie. And it's not showing that they lie with the people at this point. So we now have to look at the interest, the business interest, the development interest, and how they align with people being able to build them house, live in a house, and live good. And I find that this government has not been fair in how they're trying to do that. They've not tried to do that. I can even say. So the issue
I
of
think one.
the issue of lands being given over to the Chinese it's not surprising to me.
I think one of the positives out of all of this, for the PNP at this point in time, is that a super majority of those, or approximately maybe 2/3 or little over 1/3 thereabout, will be new candidates. And I appreciate the fact that you have a new stock of candidates coming in. Hopefully, the good senator will win her seat in St. James. And then we
She
would
have to win it. She have to win it
know
because I am not gonna stop until she win it.
it is going to be incumbent on that new set of legislators now to roll back some of those that have been in place and to put better policies in place to redefine the People's National Party back to what it
Yes.
was known for as
Fully
the
agree.
party that
Fully
actually
agree.
is in alignment with the needs of the people.
Hold on to me, Mr. Dobson. I have Luke George want to say something, and also I have the caretaker candidate on.
Yes, good night, everyone.
Good night, sir.
I've joined late, so I'm listening. I hope to pick up in the conversation a little bit.
Jeffrey, let me just make one point before we move on now. Akeem's completely right. I'm looking here and it says that Puerto Rico was owned by the bauxite company, but it was a public access beach, right? And when this agreement was signed was under the PNP, and it opened. They started the development in 2016, and they opened it in 2017. So to say that the Honorable Wickham McNeil was the tourism minister at the time is not incorrect. And to say that this happened, at least the contract, it would appear, was signed during the tenure of the PNP, that's not incorrect either. So I just want to make that clear.
No, but
George,
anybody that would Luke George, let me there. Anybody that would challenge that to say it is not so, would be somebody that is simply being political rather than looking on the issue for what it. I remember, I know we say we're going. You can't want to fix something if you can't acknowledge that it is broken and acknowledge the part of it that is broken. If you're going to take even crazy glue and fix back a vase, you have to acknowledge that it drop and broke. You try and glue it back together. And we have to put blame where it needs to be put. Dr. McNeil was the one that signed off on it. I know that I was angry about it. And a lot of time we only look what the other side has done in order to say them did do it, but we don't want to acknowledge it. When I speak, whether it be here or any program that I represent the party on, and issues come up that runs across party line, it has to be admitted that that is the case. And however, this is not how you're going to.
You are welcome back. You are welcome back to Make We Talk anytime.
And that is why I'm saying that with the new stocker leaders coming in to run for parliamentary election for the PNP, the good thing we can say is, well, yes, this might have been the case, but we were not there and we're now here to change it. Over to you now, John.
No, okay. So Jeffrey, remember when I said that you have some new people coming and they're going to revolutionize both political parties because they realize that what exists now.
Look, hold a minute. You have two things.
And that me, I wonder.
Huh?
I don't even know I have two, but
hold on here. I'm gonna take off one. Go ahead now.
Yeah. So remember earlier on when I said that the revolution is coming and it is with these young people and that we have to get behind them and start to mentor them and to start to have a belief, because what you basically hear Dobson and Gabriel saying is that they are willing to accept something that is not seen in the two political party, the responsibility of where the political party did not act in the best interest of the people. An argument like Beach access should not even be in 2023 an argument that we should be having, because what you mean, you're taking away less and less recreational activity from the ordinary Jamaican. Now imagine I have a family of 5 and the point has been clearly been made, and I go to a beach and have to pay $5,000, and depending where I'm coming from, I have to pay transportation and I have to pay a toll. I didn't agree with the fact that you made Portmore into a community, then you put up a toll roll, and then you tell me that I buy a house in Portmore, and if I want to go to my house, I have to go through the toll. You don't do things like that if you're a forward-thinking leader. You think about how it is going to affect the ordinary people and the people that you want to continue to make a meaningful and productive contribution to the Jamaican society. So one of the things that we have to stress here too, that civil society has a bigger role to play, not to give government so much leverage to carry out the mayhem that they carry out against the people. You know, the other day I was watching a clip with Carl Narcis and Han Hodges talking about the development that is taking place in the Golden Circle. And these two ladies are saying they were informed and when by the national land agent about the development, and when they tried to basically have a discussion with them, they were sidelined, and then afterwards, after writing to them several months later, the agency come out. No development should be taking place in Jamaica without the Jamaican people, because you have to remember that although you have 63 sitting in the parliament, it's the people of Jamaica that put you there, and we didn't put you there so that you can give your friends the right to privatization and you can access those beach whenever and whenever you please.
Hold on a minute. How you mean we never put them there for do that? They went in there and one thing only is to scam the poor people of this country. And get to the friends.
And why you move it from the saying, Jeffrey, it's not just the people, it's the Jamaican people overall, because while we're saying it's the poor, the middle class also who have basically been the bedrock of the country is feeling it as well. And that is what I'm basically saying. The new trust of leaders that are coming in must understand that Jamaica is tired of being dictated to. And if that policy or practice continue, you're going to see more people rising up in insurrection against its government, and Jamaica cannot have this at this time. So we have to call upon people who are going to put service above gains, knowing that once we all have created the Jamaica in which we can all live, work, and raise a family, that we can enjoy the benefits right across and I don't even want to say the class or the construct of the society. So it is a good conversation that young people on both sides of the political divide, I want to believe, have been moving away from this tribal thinking that, you know, once we got there, we are going to make sure that private interests are secured, but not in the best interest of the people. And to say this, that I am calling on the Jamaican people, and this is something that Dobson and the rest of young people in the both political party must start to go back to that grassroots conversation with people to get them to better understand. Because a lot of times, as Radical said earlier on to Dobson, and it helped him to understand, the language that you use is a barrier to the development because people don't even know what is taking place. I particularly did not like the fact that there was a twinning between Wicker McNeil and Kenny Benjamin, and some of the things that people will say about Mr. Benjamin that is so displeasing. You know, you shouldn't have that, and this is why we need to strengthen our laws in terms of accountability and against corruption to prevent people like this from signing up. Because when we come to that sign off, you know, him friend them did dead in a parliament, you know, we never care not about the people and love the poor, but never said to him, say, we can't do this. We are, you know, we can't do this because we are supposed to be the representative of the people, and the people need places for recreation. So again, we have to call upon the Jamaican people not to become a silent majority to the democracy and the decisions that are being made on behalf of us. How much of us know, for instance, how much money came into this country for COVID? How much of us know when Prime Minister Holness went to Washington and was handed a check by the United States government with a specific directive that it was supposed to benefit unattached youth, so that we can scale down the level of crime that is taking place among our 13 to 15-year-old, which is really the people who are now big perpetrators of the crime. Who gives us the information how those money are used, so that we know that there is no excess going to somebody's pocket?
Look, George, the question must be asked of the Prime Minister. Where the money disappeared to? Where the money that was given to him to help unattached youths, where is that money?
And that's what I'm saying. And this is where I'm
dollars went down the drain in COVID. Money was given to Jamaica, grant was given to Jamaica, loan was given to Jamaica. What the money disappeared to? And I will get to talk about now every 5 years chat this damn nonsense about PNP and JLP, and now this idiot come about UIC.
Right.
Hello, listen to me. A revolution break out in this country. No?
Well,
a revolution break out in this country. Go ahead, Luke.
No, but Jeffrey, exactly. That's what I'm saying, and I'm glad that Dafsy is on, because what Dafsy is represented is a breath of fresh air. You need to speak the truth. We need to know. So, you know, one of the things that I was very upset with Mr. Golden said, we're a slim majority. It takes one person to start the fire, and other people, as long as you're doing it in the name of truth and righteousness, it takes only one person to start the fire. And this is where I'm saying every Jamaican must hold them parliamentarian, them councillor feet to the fire to ensure that information is being given to the people, so we know how the decisions are poorly made and how they are poorly affecting our everyday life. Because something like that, again, must fall to the purview of the Social Development Commission, who should be the agency going out there and engaging community. When the parliament was said to be built in the National Hero Circle and the lands around it that the government was purporting to want to take, and people started to raise voice in dissent to the decision, the PMP sat quietly and did not give the people the information. Mr. Black, who had the contract, who is connected to the PMP, who had the contract, is in court fighting for us to pay him while we have identified a new contractor. So we are paid double money for the the development that should have been taken around the National Heroes Park, but nobody is accounting to the people when we have shabby hospital, teachers and firefighters and civil servants are being paid. Why we keep on doing this bloodletting? We don't need this, brethren. What we need is that government must take a critical decision that is going to be beneficial, and not to ensure that they continue to give handouts to their friends and the private interest. We need to run them thing there, and that is why I say it has to be a new day. No matter who come in power, people must hold them government responsible for the decision where them are made, because it is still the 75% of the poor in this country that is feeling the pain. So when Nigel Clark gets up and talk about he goes to a first world country like Europe and everybody are use card, him go to a bar for go buy a drink, a baklava, and everybody are use card. So are we ready for a cashless society when people are losing millions of dollars? I have a young lady now who them just take 380,000 out her bank account at NCB for a game that she never played. How are you securing us in terms of our finances? So are we going to find more institutions where somebody can sit down in there and take off 25 cents off every dollar, and then Nigel Clark comes and tell us that, okay, we're doing well, we're doing well when people losing, and that sometimes what they're losing is all that they have. No, you're out of touch with the Jamaican people. We need more accountability, more credibility, and we need people who are actually interested to deliver on the promise that we, the people, all of us, when the green people and orange people, we are going to be able to prosper.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. I came here by labor plane, not by aeroplane or party plane. So I need a green, not orange. My gearbox smash up. Crank, like a 7 or 11. Ratty, go ahead.
What we need to understand is simply this. We need to understand that when a man like Nigel Clark gets up and speaks in the parliament, Nigel Clark is not speaking, look, George, him not talk to the 75% of the people where me and you talk about. Them not understand a word him say. In fact, sometimes him don't understand what him say. So when him come and him talk about Canada and things like that, keep this in mind. That's not a speech for Jamaica. That's a speech for the IMF, the IDB, the World Bank, to say that Jamaica is transforming from an underdeveloped country to a developed country. We're in that mood, in that process. That's what that speech is for. That speech is say, look, we need more money for development. IMF, IDB, World Bank, give us more money, because look at what we're doing. We're moving along with the first world countries. So when them say them things, in order for the 75% of the people to understand what they must say, they have to come to programs like this, where I consider the University of the Poor, where we can break it down. And that's why I tell Hakeem, so them say, emerging, my brethren, them like Flatty and Doggy D and them man don't know what I want, right? But them man, they vote. So them people we have to break it down to. So Nigel Clark, he speaks to the upper echelon of society and international organizations. He's not speaking to the Jamaican people.
But you not touch on certain things. Sir Luke, one of the things, and some may say what they want, and for me, I'm willing to learn, but if it's anything negative, I really don't care. We live in a political state with a political mindset with how we reason things. So, and because of that, we don't know how to hold our people accountable. So the population itself doesn't know what it wants. and doesn't know what it needs either. So, take for example, the man says something in a parliament, him call out something, and it sounds nice on the surface, but you don't question it. At the same time, you're not saying, why aren't we pumping more resources in our hospitals and stuff? So it begs you to wonder some of the time if the people know for themselves what they want. And maybe some of the time why they don't know what they want is because you don't reason it with them. And then you have that other subsection that decides, say, my party say right, so it right all when it wrong. Now, Ratijan, I hear you talking about IMF and World Bank, and I am anti-IMF, I'm anti-World Bank, and I'm anti-Inter-American Development Bank. I think one of the most progressive direction that Jamaica should look to now is joining the Shanghai Cooperation and joining the BRICS community. Put an interest in joining the BRICS community. Here is why. India's foreign minister, Dr. Jaishankar, noted couple months ago that Europe need to come to the reality that Europe's problem is not the world's problem, and in vice versa, the world's problem is not Europe's problem. Europe, the United States, they like to dictate. The G20 and the G7 tell you, listen, and it's some members of G20 and G7. Do this way, and we don't care how it affects you. So a country like Jamaica, even though we and India have similarities in terms of development, we can't compare because the issues, while may similar, the magnitude is different. And if you can't compare that, then you definitely can't. If you can't match with India, it means that you definitely can't match with Europe. And we continue to mirror the United States and Europe to say, oh, them are do it, so we have to do it the way how them are do it. Don't get me wrong. We must aspire to become continuously be developing. China, in my opinion, having been to China, could have easily come off as a first world country. But you know what? China still sees itself as a developing state. And seeing themselves as a developing state, they still benefit from a lot of things that a country like Jamaica benefit from. Even in the World Trade Organization, they get to bypass some things. Why? Because they're still developing. They don't consider themselves developed yet, and they're the second largest economy in the world. Yeah? And if you want to diversify Jamaica's access to resources, and now we look, you have to start going in communities that they can understand when you go to them and say, listen, I want $3 billion to borrow. And you can get it at a better interest rate than going to the IMF, going to the World Bank or the Inter-American Development Bank, which are all brothers and sisters, because one come out of World War. I don't remember how IMF come about, but the whole of them operate. Because if one tell the other one, nobody keeps set some harsh restriction fee. That's what they're going to set. But then you have the BRICS community, you have the Shanghai Cooperation that we need to become a part of, because these countries that make up these organizations have similar challenges that Jamaica has, and that is the harsh reality.
Well, Akeem,
by the way, one of your viewers in the comments, they didn't know I have so much fire in me. Maybe they've never heard me before. It's the first they're hearing me. But I've never taken a biased position when I'm speaking.
Well, let me say this here. Is that but by the way, Larry in the chat, I think you said that, Jeffrey, said that we have to be careful, but now we live long if we file a suit against the government. Well, we plan to live a long life. And whether, like I said, nobody not threaten me so far. I mean, I hope nobody not threaten me, but if somebody should have threatened me, I know what to do. I know they are one place 30 years and come out with my head for just wear a hat. You have something in it. Let me tell you something about the BRICS thing now, and them and Shanghai Corporation. You have to be very, very careful, my brother. I've seen it. I've worked all over the world, and I'm telling you, there are times when you think them have your back, but like you said, people go into politics because ulterior motives. When you join up with them, don't think it's a freebie. Them have ulterior motives, and ulterior motives might be devastating to the populace. it might sound attractive, like, okay, we can get a cheap loan here and a cheap loan there, but there's a price for everything. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And another thing is that, can you count on those people?
But quick question, just a quick question. Has the IMF, the World Bank, and the Inter-American Development Bank been for us and been for the masses of a country like Jamaica? No.
No, hold on. But hold on. Here the point I just made to you. I said you have to be careful. Not that you shouldn't do it,
Right.
But you have to be careful, because doing that might result in IMF, IDB, World Bank calling in their loans.
And guess what?
You're going to BRICS and say pay off the loan, and then we join you?
No, and then guess what now? And that is why you need to have an economy that is so developed to make you be able where you can stand up to people.
But it's not there. Yeah, you're talking about
don't have a foreign policy.
Yeah, but Akeem.
Jamaica don't have a foreign policy now.
But
And
Akeem.
whenever you allow yourself to become slave to people or slave to another country where you can't have your dignity and hold your head up, that is why the IMF wants to deal with you on a certain level. The truth is, it's never to disrespect a next nation or to disrespect any organizations that are out there. But if you don't set a precedence from the initial stage where people understand their dignity and what it is to hold on to such, then anybody will come and do to you what they think you are value, what your value is. Yes.
Here's the argument you're making. You're making the argument of what should. I'm making the argument of what is. I agree with you. It should be that way, but it's not that way. And then once you start going over there, you start trying Brazil and India and South Africa and all of them things, you're going to have problems. May I tell you, you're going to have problems. And then once them people start, and remember now, we owe them so much money that we're not able to pay them off in my lifetime or your lifetime. We cannot pay them off. Cannot.
What is Jamaica's national debt now?
Who leap?
It's over $1 trillion. The debt is over $1 trillion. I'm not sure if it reached 1.5 trillion, but I know it's over $1 trillion. And the debt to GDP, I think, is 90% now. Debt to GDP is 90% now.
So let me ask you a question then. So, you going to pay back that now? When you say, hey, we're going to join the Shanghai Cooperation, I remember now, the U.S. government warned Jamaica for the last several years, about the alliance with China, I know you say, well, boy, I'm going to link up with China, I'm going to link up with BRICS, because they have them issues with BRICS already too,
Yeah, but then who is the US to tell us who to join with? The USA problem is not ours.
Well, I tell you what then, go join it. Go join it.
No, don't get me wrong, I understand where you're coming from, I'm fully conscious of what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm not foolhardy to reject it either.
No.
Because you have to be strategic in what you're doing.
And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's why I said to you, you have to be careful.
Right. And I would agree.
Right.
I definitely agree.
But Ratty, again, you say Akeem is this new generation that is thinking that after watching the oppression of these larger states, what they have done to us, we are basically, I say with many people, I say, we can't do any worse with the other people. And I'm agreed with you.
Nice.
Before we put our foot forward, we have to think about what exists, what we have created. And that is why it hurt my heart when Norman Manley talked about the whole thing about republic and forming that republic with the Eastern Caribbean, strengthening the economy of the Caribbean, that it was really laughed at by Bustamante, who basically tell people that it was a joke, and how he presented what it really represents. So we have been promised that we're going to get money for climate change, and yet still every day we know that we fear if we have a natural disaster that can leverage everything that we're working towards. So again, Akeem, I'm agreeing with Akeem. We have to have a discussion about strengthening our economy. Once again, becoming a country viable, protecting our intellectual property like reggae music, probably naming Bob Marley a national hero, and using that as a leverage to get people to look back at the creative industry, because we have not looked at it. We have to look at our fishing industry and what it can do to basically help us to pay off the national debt and become a viable economy. We have not yet started to talk about the medicinal value that our ganja can, and for this government to laugh at it when everybody else around the world, including Canada, wants to sell us an inferior ganja when we have such a strong ganja. So there are things that, you know, I'm saying to my brother, say, before we make the strident step, we're going to look for another colonial master, because with all of what you want about China, I mean, it's like me that say, right, why can't America take its foot off of the Cuban neck and make it a first world country? Because them have 97% literacy rate, and when it comes to medicine and other industry, they are far advanced. What happened when they came here the other day to help us in COVID-19? How did they leave by night? What really happened, and how could we benefit? Even the Haiti crisis, we as a nation should have not made Haiti. We should have stand up as a Caribbean to say, look here, Haiti can no longer be an observer to CARICOM, because they're 90 miles from we. So we need to protect them, but we always have to pontificate to the bigger powers. And the truth of the matter, Ratty, is that while I understand the caution, sometimes you have to make a decision, you know, because them not really ready for help, we know. So every time you think that is help, these organizations have set themselves up, and I'm surprised that the 1% of people in here will have money. Now start to look at how really and truly them can utilize their money, benefit the whole of Jamaica, build the economy, and make us a viable place. Because no matter what you're doing, you can't kill the brand Jamaica. You know? It's not a killable brand. We are always going to bounce back. It's what the man said. You lick we down, you push we down, you kick we down. We're a hard nation to die. So you lick it down. So again, the discussion is about, because look here at it. If we did approach like the medicinal industry and say, all right, ganja is being used in the United States, we'd like to be a major supplier. On the need to move the barriers and the bureaucracy so that we can sell it. You tell everybody in a one location down away you come from, down to out. Everybody are going to plant X amount and we're going to earn in the US, because everything in Jamaica quote in the US in the cars. Right now, everything when we have to calculate the US rate. When we are going to buy it, house I sell a Jamaican at $1.8 million. And you wonder who the hell have that money to buy that house. So you recognize it's never about the ordinary people, it's about the 1% of Jamaica who understand and hold that wealth and hold it to them bosom. And we need to start talk truth to power. How did they get these? Well, some of them rob and kill people for it, and yet still, these are the people that we honor and we put up.
Hold on, look, George. You say we have to make at some point. You agree with me, but at some point we have to make a decision. Well, I'd go further than that. I would tell you that we have to make an informed decision, not just any decision. Because you know what happened? We've been making decisions for decades. And it's that's why we're running into so many problems. We haven't been making informed decisions. Informed decisions mean that you are aware of the issue. You have a strategic plan of attack. And when you sit down with the man, you argue from a position of strength, and you don't argue from a position of you're capitulating to them simply because you think of them as a superpower or whatever. The reason I'm telling you this is because I've seen it, my brother. I've seen some countries.
So Ratty, agree. So here's what I'm suggesting, and this is why I'm saying that the discussion must be broadened to take into account the experience, the wealth of experience that members of the diaspora bring to the table, because Jamaica cannot, it seems like we have lost that intelligent crop of people that are, so, and I'm hoping that with the new set that is coming in, that they will not be politicized, but they will see the development as it is happening in the world. And this is why I also believe that when we set up governments, it is essential, and I'm saying this to young Akeem Dopsy, who is a vital member of the People's National Party, that some of these boards that we set up for this development to take place and the strategic plan has to include members of the diaspora, and we must not be afraid to include them, because at the end of the day, you know, they all know that if Jamaica go down, we all go down, and one Jamaica, no matter or we live bad. When it comes to Jamaica, we will defend her and fight for her with our life. We will bleed for her. So this is why we need to change that culture of stop taking money, ratty, from the diaspora, and we need to depoliticize the diaspora from this PNP and JLP thinking to include this broadness of thinking, because here's what is true, Ratty. We don't have time, we don't have a long time, because me I tell you, so the frustration is like a volcano waiting to erupt. We don't have a long time, so let me use the PNP slogan for wanting to have a better word. Time come. Talk done. Yes, you are the universal, you are the universe. We are now the voice of change. I'm glad that the Jamaican people, I'm hope to them value what a Jeffrey Tavares and what a Rattigan and Lonesome to some extent, Herb and others that are making a vital contribution that is taking off the covering off of some of the wickedness, the skullduggery that is plaguing this country. And this is why I asked Jeffrey the other day, is it possible, Wilfred Rattigan, that we set up ourselves as a shadow cabinet to the government of Jamaica, putting the policies and strategy that is needed at this time to complete the surgery that Jamaica can be whole again. So we cannot, we don't want no voice in the wilderness. What we want is strategy. So if it's agriculture, we're speaking on what needs to be done in agriculture. If it is foreign affairs, we're talking on what is needed to be done. If it's the development of the economy.
Let me talk to Emperor Theophilus there. Emperor Theophilus, when we can tell you what I don't think you have the experience of doing is sitting around the table with all of them Babylonians there and see the process at work. Because I have done it, and I've done it in Europe, Africa, Asia, the Middle East, North America. And the wealth of experience that me have, Emperor, I don't think you have it. I don't mean to diss you, but you really need to sit back and be educated about people who have actually sat at the table and see how them do certain things. And that's why I bring my wealth of experience and say, listen, I will give it to Jamaica for free, because when you sit down around the table with the US government, there are certain things that you don't understand. I've sat on their side of the table. Me know what them think. But I'm Jamaican at heart. My neighbor street cut and tire Jamaica. I mean, cut and bury Jamaica. So when if me could have advised some of the people who in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or whatever ministry and say, listen, you see when you sit down with them folks, when you hear them, if you raise this issue and you hear yes, it's actually no. And it might be a qualified no. So here's how you counter, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. That's what me bring to the table. So it's not a Babylon, it's not like me succumb to the Babylon thing. I tell you, say, if Jamaica should have get up tomorrow and say, well, we are going to join BRICS. First of all, you don't just join BRICS. BRICS have to accept you. You don't just get up and join BRICS. Not right? And you don't get up and join Shanghai Corporation or whatever. Then have to say, okay, and there will be terms. And your terms, I'm telling you, the terms will be draconian. But you know what the draconian part of the terms will be? The draconian part of the terms will be in the fine print. The part where you now read. That's where it will be.
And I will agree. But the revolution where you talk about, George, if you look in South Africa, the EFF did it just last week, Monday.
No, man. No, sir. Let me tell you about the EFF. I'm glad you mention that. Me live in South Africa. Me live in South Africa. Let me tell you about South Africa.
Hold on, before you touch that. Part of the problem with the Caribbean, is the Caribbean-based initiative out of the US. Why Caribbean economies are not performing better, and a lot of people don't know what the Caribbean-based initiative was, or in theory what it is, and in practice what it is. And that is part Mr. Clinton, the former president of the US, helped to destroy the thriving rice industry in Haiti too. And you see, for those things, I am unforgivable to the United States for those things.
Hakeem, let me tell you something. Hakeem, hold on, look, George. Let me talk to him about South Africa there. Hakeem, have you ever been to South Africa?
It was a little.
In Ghana.
You met the man. Where you cut off the man from? No, I'm not God, man. I the internet. But Ratty, again, you see, strategically, this is why a wealth of experience is better, because Akeem is making those decisions based on what is read. You remember, say, even the Russia and the Ukraine war, yeah, Jamaican coming out and say Russia never enslaved us, but Russia no want to do it. So when you talk about the Shanghai, you talk about the other one, you have to remember, say, these are new large orders that have basically come to make poor people poor. And so we have to be careful how we join. But as I say, if we can come up with a better strategy, Jamaica have a vision 2030 and the millennium goals that we are guided by.
It blind. But
it need, yeah, man. Because as again, I said to Jeffrey the other day, when Taiwan did got change for them one, the brethren will come here and him derive him economic plans from Michael Manley down at Singapore. It was on the basis that you have to have the strategy that is going to meet this new dispensation of wickedness and colonization that we are seeing in the larger international community. We can't just run with everybody, so we have to strengthen what we have and what we can use to leverage our economy so it will work better for all Jamaicans. But again, Ratty, it is when you have a man like you and a Akeem sitting in a room and you're sharing that wealth of experience. And this is where I'm saying that when me or Strong said to us, look at the man them in the brown suit, adequately can deal with crime in Jamaica. I have to laugh and say, brethren, no man, you eat women. Because if we have a crime plan, we not work.
We don't have a crime plan. We don't have a crime plan, Luke George.
We have a powder crime plan then.
No,
a powder farm of a crime plan.
We have a national security plan named Plan Secure Jamaica, which is not the crime plan. But before Akeem get to him, I know what Akeem get to him. Akeem, have you ever been to South Africa?
I've not been to South Africa. I want to go there. I've never been there.
Well, when you have got there, call me. Because a
better one. Invite the brethren for go take a tour with you.
All right, Akeem, if you're available, this year, what plan for go? We did it in September, October. I might place that, you know.
Yeah,
up to tonight, we make a link for a girl from Anya who I go there for the first time. I make some links so she'll get some VIP treatment and thing. Now listen, I go South Africa from 1984. And I'm gonna go almost every year. I'm gonna live there from 2010 to 2013. Right? Let me get another better one. My wife come from South Africa.
Oh.
Right. So when you go talk about Julius Malema and the EFF, talk to me. I don't want to tell you. I talk like Luke George said, well, we need for this long in our room. Just we among develop a plan. Yeah. And then we can bring it out to the people and explain to the people what are going on.
By the way, Julius Malema is supposed to be on my program pretty soon.
And you're going to bring him on for you.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That would be good.
Yeah. And you're
working on that.
No, man. Akeem, when you talk about Africa and you talk about the Middle East, I might place them on.
Well, that is good.
But here's a question.
A lot of people over this side don't know about Julius Malema, one. And two, one, they don't know about him. Two, them they know say he broke away from the ANC.
True.
Because a lot of people don't know that he was president of the African National Congress Youth League.
Exactly. You're right.
A lot don't know. A lot don't know. So in party just 10 years ago with 48 seats in the National Assembly.
Yeah.
The first go, they got 25 seats. And the second go, them get a next one, 23 seats to bring it up to 48. And let me tell you now, if people watching the politics of it, they almost get 100% more seat. 2019, 2020 when they ran. Which means next year, him supposed to get another, if you follow the trend and him get another 90% or 100% a seat, that will bring them closer to the 100 mark. In another 3 or 4 elections, the EFF will form government in South Africa if people continue to push to them. And that is what is going to happen.
Well, not tell us something. I mean, you
but
can't talk about it.
What is important, Akeem, what is important to point out in that, though, Akeem, is that he basically is walking the line of accountability and transparency that Madiba ran on, and the fact that he understands that the people are still underserved, unlike you tonight and the rest of us who want to see Jamaica change, speaking truth to power. And that is
Yeah.
what the new leadership has to represent, because it can't be talking every day. Because people now wait for talking. Because the chop of them now wait for. But you know, I mean, that's a Rattigan still on that CM crime plan, that the powder one.
They have no crime plan.
All right,
no
on the draft, of what we.
No, it's not a draft. It's named
Yeah, man, them put some fine minds together,
George.
man.
Luke George.
Virgin, then they put some fine minds. So all right, Ratty. All right, and the fact that there was several discussion that took place, how to bring down crime. What would be an effective strategy in your mind that we should be looking at here and now, that we can basically put some control on crime in Jamaica?
The first thing, if you talk about a reformation of the system, they talk about transformation. You talk about reformation. Wait, the first thing you need to do, you say the high command and the police commissioner, the top level, you need to get rid of all of that. You need to split the country in a Cornwall, Middlesex, Surrey. You need to get fusion centers. You need to establish good, sound working relationships with international partners. That are my specialty, brother. Don't forget, I used to run the FBI office in the Middle East, you know. I'm used to run. So
you're available to become the next commissioner of police?
I don't know. I have no aspirations for that job. What I'm willing to do is whoever they select, and I heard that they're thinking about Jeffrey Tavares. What I'm willing to do is I am willing
Hold
to
on
work
there. Because if they put me there, when I start lack and don't stop lack, all who take government land in a center and sell it.
Look, guys, watch it.
Gentlemen,
Watch it.
Exiting.
No, you're not leaving. No, you're not leaving.
No, you're not leaving it, Akim, because the whole way I leave at the same time. You're not leaving out of the room and left.
Yeah, Akim, when you attack the Jeffrey, he can't do this until tomorrow. So just give him a little bit more time there, and then me and you diplomatically go and say, we are going to be diplocrates. We're going to say we have to leave on the SME.
No, see, what happened is that I am willing. Look, they have some highly qualified people in the JCF, and that can take the leadership helm of that organization and run it. There's some issues that them need to deal with. I am willing to offer self and service to help them develop. But in terms of sitting in that chair, I have no desire, no aspirations, nothing for power, nothing for position. I'm fine where I am. So that's where I'm. But in terms of reforming the JCF, there are lots of things you can do. And one of the first things you have to do is you have to get a strong leader. And when you have a leader who has 91% disapproval rating of his people, that's not a good representative for your police organization. Because when he sits down, and I'm telling you because I've seen this worldwide, when he sits down with them people, them already have the background upon him already. And the first question comes to mind is, wait a minute, if his own people doesn't trust him, then why should we trust him? We can't work with this guy. So we do lip service. That's all we do. We just do lip service because we say this guy useless and worthless. And that's where it is. So you have to start with the leadership. And like I said, you have good qualified, sound people there that you can put in charge and you can reform that. I'm willing to offer self and service to help in that regard.
Yeah, man. And the perception of the perception of the 1938 formation of the police force, where people join it just to have power and to carry out their revenge, and other people have not left. Even today, there was a video of a policeman who was beating a man, and the way it went out, it's distasteful to Jamaica. And I call on Mr. Anderson. Time come for you start do something, man, because right now
it's time for the dum to go and sit down. Him and the minister of national security and justice.
Look here, Jeffrey. Me not have nobody to take me out of Jamaica in the middle of the night. You can't say so. But me have to live here. Me know say them will take with a little piece of food that me have to eat, and me alone I go suffer. So, but the truth of the matter that I have no confidence in Mr. Anderson's leadership. And when me look what is happening at local police station, and how people are still being treated. There are good men and women in the JCF, but I think that the moral is so weakened by the leadership and the fact that things that the people are expecting to happen is not happening. And I must ask my friend Akeem. Well, I'm a new friend, and say if them want to label me PNP, so let it be, because as long as you're not put on pot by my fire. Jeffrey said me a barrel every 3 months. What is it? Is it that Mr. Anderson is still the strategic advisor on crime to the Prime Minister while he's holding the position of commissioner?
No,
and
that's Rocky Mead. That's Rocky
Oh,
Mead.
okay.
No,
All right.
Rocky Mead is the ambassador.
Is the ambassador plenipotentiary? Yeah, but he's also the advisor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, on that note, we need your no, you're not leaving yet.
Yeah, you know nothing about
the outspoken People's National Party former VP. Your final word before you go.
It is not VP at the party, it's the YO. Please, I don't want anybody. Yes.
No, it's the YO.
I prophesy that. Sorry. I prophecy.
Well, thanks for the prophecy. Thank you. The truth is, in order for us to achieve our objective as a nation, we have to speak truth to power. We some of us were not there when other people made decisions. And yes, we are alive. It's like in our family. Your mother make a decision. You have to live with some of the consequence, but you can also change the future of your destiny and that of your children. And that I'm about. I can't control what PJ did, what Michael Manley did, or no minister from them time there. But I am there now, and I want to influence something that reflects the change that Jamaica needs. Not the change that Jamaica wants, but the one that Jamaica needs. And the truth is, if we do that, one of the first
I can hardly hear you. You're going down.
Sorry, I'm saying if we're going to achieve that, one of the first things we have to do is at least the bare minimum is speak truth where we need to speak truth, and then you can start crafting the solutions to move forward.
Yeah, and then before you go, people like Lady Collins, when me listen to that woman there, me say me get sense. That woman there for black, there nobody must listen to her. Did you hear her comments? Andrew is of the right color and the education to run this country forever, and she will see to it. Lady Collins in the United Kingdom, who is up in Meghan Markle's business and Harry. She left Big Yard and still gone to England, gone in a sus, and know everything about everybody's business. So you know, so she have Big Yard tendency. But I was shocked when she used that word. And when that comment was made in Parliament, which Akeem, I think that is an indictment on the PNPYO, we don't use master anymore, because you and I know that when we use it is when we are fighting that class war and we want to show who have the right. Yeah, so we understand right. When for Nigel to take us back to that divisive time, it is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Look, listen, let me discussion. Let me just
say, I want to big up Liquor Wicked and why look a laugh. No more big up Liquor Wicked and Emperor Theophilus him just mentioned something say FBI and CIA kill blind Jamaican people. I'm for the clear myself. We just want the Emperor to keep on tuning in, and he will get an education, historical education, economic education, political education, the diplomatic education. Because keep in mind, brethren, it was the Jamaicans who allowed the CIA to come in, and Philippa G, that turned the CIA agent, him exposed the whole thing. And it was Jamaicans who killed Jamaicans. America provided the firepower, but it was Jamaicans who killed Jamaicans. That doesn't mean that somebody like me who have the experience think that way or this way. Because when me say first and foremost, wait there. Yes, sir. This is what me say first and foremost. This is my inspiration. 41 Penwood Crescent, Waterhouse, poor people. That are my inspiration when me come and sit down behind this mic. And me keep it up because it's a constant reminder. Never forget where you come from. And people still live there. So all me I say to you, Emperor Theophilus, and people like-minded, is that when you criticize, listen before you criticize and ask constructive questions. And if you don't have something constructive to say, then either listen or leave. But don't come with foolishness around here, because we don't deal with that. We are dealing with positivity. We are talking about how to creatively address the situation and come up with solutions. And that's why Akeem, prophecy are going to reach him. He's going to be the next VP at the party, because I'm sure the ability to listen, reason, and learn. Emperor Theophilus, big up yourself. Listen, reason, and learn.
Your final word, Luke George. Your 2 minutes and final word.
Hey, when them bound you and show you that the fire, remember you not get burned because you're up at the side of righteousness. And that me like with them, man. Them can't only talk about wish was, but them can't talk about that must be. That must be. But here's what is true, Jeffrey. If Jamaica is a company, we are all directors, and we must play our part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. I believe that out of these conversations, we must come up with policies and strategies how we, as ordinary Jamaican, can influence the change that we need now, so that Jamaica land we love will be the country where we can raise a family, do business, and live good. Because at the end of the day, Jeffrey, Jamaica is still a destination for plenty people who are come, because this country is a very unique country that has played so many important roles in the world, on the world stage, and we still have a lot to show. Singapore came and we taught Lee Kuan Yew how to develop his economy. He went, yes, we can say that I'm like a theocracy government, him could have do it, but I believe that we are an incredible set of people. We have been given and we are endowed with great talent. And right now on this stage tonight, everybody who spoke, including the people in the chat, we all have a part to play. And I just want us to open up that door and then begin to change it. And one of the ways we have to start changing, let us start to influence the people that are directly in our circle to see Jamaica again as a country. Let us develop a vision, like when Michael Manley created the first Labour Day, and everybody bought into it. Let us create a vision that every Jamaican can see that them have a role to play, and that Jamaica will be better as a result of every hands on the table. And me just believe that Jamaica is a broken but a promising country, and I'm just looking forward to the day when we will see that metamorphosis change that must take place and will take place. As long as we have a voice, we are going to fight. We are going to fight for Jamaica land we love.
I must say thanks to Luke George, Justice of the Peace, Wilfred Radigan.
You can put out the Justice of the Peace because you are going to make them. You, Jeffrey. No call a title there. People advocate. Yeah, no
Luke
call a title there.
The second poor people defender in this country. Wilfred Radigan, former FBI agent, attorney at law, talk show host.
You don't have to give me all of that. Just you're not to say all of that. Just say the rebel with a cause from Waterhouse.
Yes. The rebel with a cause from Waterhouse. The beautiful Gabriela Morris, Senator, President of the People's National Party Youth Arm. And the outspoken Dobson, Akeem Dobson, outspoken person from the People's National Party. You and I are going to host this program pretty soon. So get yourself prepared.
I hear you, boss. I hear you.
You are
outspoken.
Yeah, but Walanda Jeffrey, is it that you're in love with Gabriela? Because every time you hear you prefix it with the beautiful.
What is wrong with you?
every time you hear you prefix Gabriela here with beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Senator.
That you're going to be the next MP here.
Future Minister of Youth and Culture, Ms. Gabriela Morris. I am Jeffrey Tavares saying thank you all for coming on this evening. Thank you all for listening to me. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And for all those who scares has been our concern, the work goes on, the cause endure, and the hope for a better Jamaica shall never die. My fellow Jamaicans, let us continue to fight for this rock. Let us continue fight for this piece of rock, because we came here by labor pain, not by error pain, nor party pain. We came here by labor pain. And this piece of rock belongs to us. And all those who are trying to thief poor people land are coming off on. All those who are trying to thief poor people land in this country, the National Land Agency, on thieving poor people land, on think we don't know, and all who they sell beach land to their friends and cronies. Woe be unto you. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. May God bless you all. Good night, gentlemen.
Big up yourself. Look, click on more.
And Mr. Dobson.
Stay so.
Blessing,
I will
blessing.
I will get your number from the lovely senator.
All right.
Oh, she moved from
Beautiful to lovely now.
So lovely. All right, Jeffrey. Yeah, Jeffrey, I hope you don't get no beach landing when PNP comes to power. Let us keep our...
No. I have a lot of beach land in the grill.
Oh, okay. All right, boss.
People have public access to it?
Yeah, Jeffrey.
Yes.
Anytime.
You can hello, go to Negril now and ask for Arthur's Bathing Beach. Ask for 1 mile. And they will show you that there's public access to the beach.
Okay, sir. All right.
I hope Akeem tomorrow you don't have that added to the list of beach that I'm going to
No, I hope not.
You, George, you have
No, but here one no. If it added no, Jeffrey, that might just start the revolution. Come, can't see you come now. You come and wage war.
Yeah, man. Jeffrey, I come, man. And next month, him tell me say I come. Next month, him say I come, man.
Like how I'm daring them.
Jeffrey, don't forget the barrel.
Land that belongs to my family.
Listen, don't forget the barrel for Luke George, you know, a 3 barrel.
Yeah.
Luke George, don't get him barrel.
Hey, yo, my God.
I am daring them to trouble any land that belongs to my family.
All right, sir.
The land that true land where they want to try thief, when they better left it. There's a certain politician saying, Uncle Albia, man. Maybe go ahead, Tifuno. Leave the people and land alone.
We eat susuma in Jamaica, so we're not afraid of the Asian.
Oh.
You ever talk to Luke George about that thing there? You know?
Yeah. Jeffrey, I think any forgot ATM probably I forgot California. For what, yeah?
Yeah, St. Thomas.
No, man, we have some gear thing, you know, Jeffrey. I'll send them come gear.
Yeah. And don't make Akima for read out the news that a lot order that are being formed to rob poor people.
No.
Yeah, well, but we can put in the year, sir. Later.
Yeah.
All right.
A blessed one.
Hold on, don't move. Make a cut the live, Luke. Make a cut the live. Good night, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Good night, everyone. May God bless you. May God bless Jamaica land we love.